There's a very critical aspect I didn't get for a very long time. And this was what changed everything.
Have you ever been on like your 20th coaching session and had the thought, am I actually getting anything out of this? I haven't, because it took me like 200 coaching sessions before I ever had that thought. But Alex, how does something like that possibly happen? It's rewind time. The year's 2014. After coming out of 2 years of weight loss and moving to a new city, it's now my mission to meet people. How do I do this? I go on meetup.com, the place to meet people. Meeting people to meet people. Huh. A lot of weird meetups too. Can't say they were all winners, but within the first month of this move, I made a friend. Yes! And we're still friends to this day. You'll never guess what I did next. I infiltrated his social circle. Within a couple of months, I ended up on national television, not in the bad way. Look at that dapper young fellow right there. Shortly after that, I traveled to the UK where I took a charisma workshop that involved me talking to strangers in bookstores, on the street, etc. Had some pretty wacky conversations. I come back to my shores and what happens? But it's the first time I get into a serious relationship. Whoa. I became president of a Toastmasters club. I did stand-up comedy. I did improv. I was doing it all. Realized that before all of this happened, only 2 years prior, I played video games all day and I had 2 friends that were my brother's friends. But we're gonna fast forward right to... So how did I go from fumbling my way through all that in such a short period to 200 coaching sessions that went nowhere? Really, it's the same question as what is the difference between not doing the thing and doing the thing?
Did it! He said it!
I went to coaches with this mindset that there was something broken and wrong with me that I had to figure out and fix. Their job was to fix me so then I could go back and do all this kind of cool stuff again. You might have noticed that there was no fixing involved that got me from 400 pounds and no friends to doing a lot of cool stuff just for the sake of it. Since taking all that coaching advice wasn't working, I decided to take more workshops. Workshops seemed like I would be doing the thing, just like my charisma workshop way back when. I'm doing the thing I want to be doing. Except I ended up building these containers where it's like, oh, I'm going somewhere. I associate this cool new activity with this place, but then I go home and it's not the same place and I don't quite have the same skills or the same motivation or the same time off work as I did when I went on vacation to do this workshop. So it ends up not really accomplishing anything. Somehow I was not realizing that I didn't need any of this before and just thought I needed to find the right workshop and the right coach that would fix everything and put me right back to where I was all those years ago. I certainly collected a lot of knowledge. Something felt off though. It wasn't quite the same as what I was doing before all of this. Think about a time where a friend or loved one said or did something that felt a little bit out of place. If you're anything like me, you might have spent a considerable amount of time overthinking what that thing meant. If you give me a week, I can come up with 1,000 different scenarios that seem plausible. Then eventually, after losing sleep and overthinking, I finally get the courage to ask them, hey, something wrong? Seems like things have been a little off these last few days. Oh, I feel like I got food poisoned or something. My stomach's been a mess, I've been super bloated, and I just feel awful all the time. Oh wow, I just came up with 1,000 scenarios for why this person was treating me this way, only to find out that it was nothing like anything I imagined. Hopefully, this doesn't become a theme. Actually, Alex, procrastinators don't go to therapy or do meditation. That's for like cool people who are super like woke. Well, thank you, first of all. But in just a moment, you're gonna see how wrong and silly you're being. Obviously, for the people who have debilitating issues, or if I were to ever be completely overwhelmed by something, therapy is probably amazing. But I got 2 beefs with therapy. First of all, therapists are just as flawed as I am. I had this belief that they must undergo some kind of crazy training that allows them to look down at the world and see everything that's wrong with people and be able to fix it. So I created an image in my head that they had some kind of authority to solve magical problems, which they did not. Just like with the partner who was acting strange, I can come up with infinity things to talk to a therapist about. That could be why I'm wrong and broken and everything is unfortunately not going my way. Those two things in combination create this infinite need for eternally fixing something if my premise is that something is broken. Because nobody is an expert in Alex. Not even I'm an expert in Alex. And in just a moment, I'm going to show you exactly how this applied to my real life. But first, meditation. I've never felt more fixed than at the end of a meditation retreat. But I think I discovered the secret of why that was. I would come out of the retreat and the birds were singing. The trees were singing. The squirrels were singing. Everything was magical. I thought, oh my God, the world has never been more beautiful. I can see why this is such a big deal to people. Of course, a day passes. A week passes, everything is pretty mundane again. Video games are far more exciting. It doesn't last. Kind of like if I was super hungry and I had a meal in the back of my freezer that sat there for 3 months, maybe all of a sudden it's super enticing now. Or if I am kind of like bored of my city living and then I spend a month on a farm, then I'm like, oh my God, I'm never leaving again. That's kind of the experience I was having with meditation retreats, where it's like, oh my God, everything is amazing. It just doesn't last. I know it's not supposed to last. I know there's reasons people have been doing it for thousands of years beyond my dumb ones, but that is my dumb brain experience with those retreats. I use those retreats to think about all of the different ways I was broken and how I'm fixing them on this retreat and how present I am with myself and that this is the space that we're going to solve everything in. And that wasn't the case. Everything I know about cameras and filming and editing, I learned in the last 6 weeks. Prior to that, it all seemed overwhelming because when I thought of starting a YouTube channel, I thought that there would be 1,000 things I would have to figure out, and how am I going to figure out those exact 1,000 things I need to know to get started? I've heard this analogy of sharpening the saw versus cutting the wood. If you're not familiar with it, the premise is theory versus practice. If I spend a lot of time building theory, it's like I'm sharpening the saw, that when I finally go to cut the tree, it'll be super effective. Nice. One of the major reasons that my self-help treadmill went on for so long, because I thought I was just making the world's strongest, most powerful lightsaber, as opposed to finally going to chop a tree and finding out I'm using the wrong tool altogether. And this is like a special tree that needs a special axe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I didn't think of the analogy all the way through. Now my perspective of the sharpening the saw versus cutting the wood is cut first, see how deep it goes. Maybe I can cut way deeper than I expected to cut, and then I'll sharpen it once it actually stops cutting. Not when I want to just make it sharp for the sake of making it sharp. Was this about YouTube or wood cutting? These last two are some of the simplest, but were to me the most insidious because they allowed me to kickstart the hamster wheel all over again very quickly. I have a rule now. If I don't see myself using a particular piece of knowledge in the next 3 months, I'm going to ignore it. I've learned tools and software and all kinds of things that maybe in the next 6 to 12 months I'd use just to get trained on them first. Then by the time I use them, I have to relearn them. Now it's like if I'm in the middle of cutting a tree and this training is what's going to sharpen my axe, then I will do it. But I'm not going to learn anything for the sake of learning it, but for a project I actually care about. When I finally learned editing in order to edit a video that I was excited about making, I accomplished it 1,000 times more efficiently than when I was just like, click here to do this, and this is how you crop, and this is how you cut. Knowledge. Now it's like I'm gonna use it, or I'm gonna lose it, or I'm gonna ignore it altogether. What's it like to be stuck in all of these at once? How does one apply the doing the thing methodology?
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
Imagine I go on a date and I want to get a girlfriend. As soon as I notice that they are someone I'm interested in and they're interested in me back, I pull away in some method. I ghost them, I don't reply to the texts. Ultimately, it fizzles out. Eventually, I ask myself, hey, why am I doing this? Thought comes in my head. Remember when you were in middle school, you had a crush on that girl and she bullied you? It's probably because of that. Good idea, random thought. I go to therapy, I laugh and I cry, and it's amazing. I let it all out. I can feel myself being fixed. It's amazing. I come out of it excited. I open a nondescript dating app. I swipe, swipe, swipe. Oh, a match. We go on the date. I'm super excited. Uh-oh, nothing's changed. All the same feelings come back. I'm still broken. There's still something wrong with me. Some more time passes. Now I'm at a meditation retreat. Perfect time to think about all these emotions and really figure it out. I go on the retreat. I zen it out. I come out. I figured it all out. I know exactly how to feel the right emotions, do the right thing. So I text the last girl I ghosted. She obviously doesn't respond. I feel bad about myself, thinking this was like a sign from the universe and that I haven't figured it out and I have to go back to solving it. Eventually, a shower thought is that I treated an ex badly at one point and maybe I feel so guilty that I need to make amends first. So I text her. That doesn't go great. All of a sudden, I feel much worse. Now I associate pain to trying to solve the problem, and so I avoid it for much longer again. Then I had this crazy thought. What if there's no problem? What if in the same way that I used meetup.com to meet people in order to meet people, I just had to go on dates in order to go on dates. I had to cut trees in order to cut trees. I had to edit videos in order to edit videos. Now you might be thinking, is the doing the thing mentality to just literally do the thing? Because I've tried that a lot. Almost. It was a very critical aspect I didn't get for a very long time. And this was what changed everything. The first time around, I didn't realize that I was just excited by the notion of doing improv and doing public speaking. What's this like? What's that like? But once I started to think about things and go to coaching and therapy and everything needed to have a meaning now. What's the meaning of this? Is this the outcome I wanted? Is this the best outcome? Is this the right meditation? Is this the wrong meditation? That is the mentality that I was able to get stuck in for so long. The doing the thing that I'm focusing on now is to take all of those actions that I know are good, calorie counting, working out, filming and editing YouTube videos in order to film and edit YouTube videos, to retrain myself to do the thing in order to do the thing. I already know that I can make myself miserable 1,000 different ways if I'm just thinking about doing the thing. I know I can come up with 1,000 reasons not to do the thing or an adjacent thing, but none of those are doing the thing. By changing the goal to doing the thing being my success, counting calories instead of how much weight I lost, hitting the bike instead of how much weight I lost, making YouTube videos instead of thinking about what the perfect YouTube video is, I am instantly winning. I can't control any of those other outcomes I was trying to get before, but I can control putting in the right actions over and over and over again. You might be thinking like I was, well, what if I'm doing the wrong things? If the thing is like becoming a pro basketball player or trying to make $10 million in your personal branding business, there might be wrong things. But for most of my everyday problems, the solutions were always very clear. If I want to go back and contemplate, isn't it bad that I wasted all this time, that I'm like 8 years delayed by this, that I didn't figure it out? No, that's not doing the thing. That is just the same mentality that got me stuck. I'm only here to do this to help remind myself, tell my stories of what's been happening. I'm not here to give advice. This isn't coaching, but anyone can relate to my story, uses it as a way to disentangle themselves from not doing the thing for themselves. That would mean more to me than any kind of YouTube success. There is one way to start doing the thing right now, and that is by subscribing, because then you make a commitment to doing the thing instead of avoiding the thing. And until next time, I'm Alex, and this was me doing the thing.
Nice.